At 25. At 25, you realize you can't take back the decisions you've made as a boy because you won't be 17 again. You realize that time flies and it goes to the ones that honor it. You realize you can't be young again. You just age endlessly. At 17, they told you despite your mistakes that you're still too young and you got so much time ahead of you. At 25, you realize that taking back the reins of your own life is a little bit too late. You shouldn't have been too over-dependent on your parents because in the long run, you became the worm and not the bird. You're what's eaten and not what eats. At 17. At 17, they told you they got you. At 25, they're wondering what you're doing with your own life to let life pass you by. They are worried that if you won't pay rent for yourself right now, when will you ever do? At 25 years, they teach you the lessons they should have taught you straight out of high school. Your parents realized they were a little too soft on you, so you didn't turn out to be what they expected you to be. They had been fully convinced that you were watching out only to realize they were watching you age with the instincts to beg for bread and more bread and not provide for yourself like a man or woman in their time. At 25, the only thing they saw you provide your own self were breadcrumbs. At 17. At 17, serving God looked like a service that would pay the bills. You are all into your own head about being a preacher, even if it meant to go hungry. At 25, you start to wonder where God is. You start to ask questions you should have asked as a child. You have known hunger, and you're no longer sure you're willing to sleep on an empty stomach for Jesus. But despite not being with Jesus, you've been hungry. There are days you've lacked. You start to pray that what you know at 25 was what you knew at 17. Because after all, you won't be young again. When I was a child, I spake as a child. I understood as a child. I thought as a child. But when I became a man, I put away childish things. At 25, God I took more seriously than I did at my 17th birthday. I no longer did it to please my parents or crowds. I no longer made decisions thinking that I still had time. I no longer believed that I was young because time waits for no man, it flies. Grows wings and leaves your pocket at 22. Tells you that it gives you enough time to grow. You're now on grace period. At 26, you'll be a father, and your child won't be satisfied with breadcrumbs alone. So now at 25, you start to make prayers you should have made a little earlier. It's never really too late. God opens people's doors at their own times, but being childish won't ever be your game again. You're all grown now. You stop to chase the wind. Fire, fire, fire fall on me, like the day of Pentecost. Fire fall on me. Fire, fire, fire fall on me, like the day of Pentecost. Fire fall on me. After listening to this poem once or twice, you realize there is nothing you could have done to pay rent a little earlier. You could only wait until 25 to be the man or woman you were set out to be. Those who provide for their own self at 25 knew lack at 18, and by 22 they were starting to get the hang of things and understand how the world works. So dust up 25, you got your whole life ahead of you. You do, and God got you. Time flies. Evangelical poet.